Is there a motion to terminate Chief Freeman?
But then, I mean, unfortunately, we knew it was going to be a little messy, but it's just something we felt important that had to be done, that should be done. So, but like I said, you have just some.
All right, let's dive into the roller coaster that has everyone talking. If you haven't heard the name Tiffany Henyard by now, you must have been living under a rock. Henyard, the mayor of Dalton, Illinois, and the supervisor of Thornton Township, has found herself in the spotlight, and not in a good way. What started as whispers of mismanagement and questionable leadership has erupted into full-blown chaos, restraining orders, federal investigations, and a furious community that's had enough.
Is it the reason why you guys are not paying whatever that vendor is?
What was it for?
It was for shirts. That's what it's.
So what's really going on with this so-called super mayor who once had a firm grip on the political scene? Is she about to lose it all? Let's break it down, because this drama runs deep. First off, let's talk about a shocking court ruling. A Cook County judge just put a stop to Tiffany Henyard's latest power move. She tried to sneak in a new police chief, village administrator, and village attorney without getting approval from the village board of trustees. Shady, right? It was a blatant power grab, and the court wasn't having it. Judge Thaddeus Wilson didn't just give her a slap on the wrist. He hit her with a restraining order, completely blocking her from making those appointments.
The judge issued a temporary restraining order blocking her from making those appointments without approval from trustees.
This isn't just some small-town mayor getting a minor slap on the wrist. This is a full-on legal smackdown. And what's even wilder, these weren't just minor appointments. We're talking about key positions that practically run the town. Henyard thought she could bypass the system, but the judge made it crystal clear. She doesn't have the authority. And here's the kicker. If she keeps pushing these appointments, she could be held in contempt of court. The judge warned her outright. Today, he declined to hold her in contempt, but made it clear. Step out of line again, and she's done. Imagine that. A sitting mayor dragged into court for ignoring a judge's order. But this isn't just about one power grab. This is part of a much bigger story, one that's been brewing for a while. This court ruling isn't just a legal setback. It's a huge blow to her authority. It basically says, your power isn't unchecked, and the courts are watching. And they're not the only ones. Because here's where it gets even messier. The FBI is now involved. That's right. A federal investigation is underway, looking into how Henyard has been running both Dalton and Thornton Township. And let's be real. When the feds step in, it's serious. Subpoenas have already been issued. And the investigation? It's all about corruption and financial mismanagement. They're looking at everything: employment records, financial documents, even contracts linked to Henyard's closest allies. And now, here's where things get juicy. Reports say the investigation is uncovering serious spending issues. Rumor has it Henyard's been living large, lavish trips, fancy dinners, and who knows what else, all on the taxpayer's dime. One of the most eyebrow-raising discoveries? A staggering $4,000 was spent on Amazon in a single day. Seriously, who drops that kind of cash on Amazon? And more importantly, why, when it's not even your money? The feds are leaving no stone unturned, and their focus: Henyard's handling, or more accurately, mishandling, of public funds.
A one-day purchase of over $40,000 to Amazon. And the main thing is...
And speaking of mismanagement, the people of Dalton and Thornton Township, they've had enough. Residents are furious, taking to the streets, demanding answers, and calling for Henyard to step down. And honestly, can you blame them? The town's general fund is $365 million in the red, yet their mayor is out here using public money like her personal piggy bank. Anyone would be outraged. But this isn't just about the money. It's about secrecy, corruption, and the complete chaos her leadership has created. The community isn't just angry, they feel betrayed. And now, they're fighting back. Massive protests are erupting in both Dalton and Thornton. People are rallying with signs that read, "Take our township back," and "Henyard must go." And this isn't just a handful of disgruntled residents, this is a full-blown movement growing by the day. And it's not just the people turning against her. The board trustees, the very people she's supposed to work with, are fed up too. They're the ones who took her to court over her illegal power grabs. And let's be clear, they're not letting this go quietly.
Reasons I won't know when we go through our board packets. It's like, some of this stuff, it's like you don't know exactly what it's for, and then when you ask the question.
Now, let's talk about the legal battle heating up. One that could be the final nail in Tiffany Henyard's political coffin. Enter Gerald Jones, a former Thornton Township employee who's suing for retaliatory discharge. And his story? Absolutely insane. Jones says he reported a rodent infestation at the township's food assistance program, thinking it was the right thing to do. But instead of fixing the problem, Henyard's close ally, Keith Price, who was running the program, allegedly turned Jones's life into a living hell. The harassment, the threats, it got so bad that Jones says he had no choice but to quit. This wasn't just workplace drama. This was straight-up intimidation. And Henyard? She sat back and did nothing. Didn't stop it. Didn't intervene. Just let it happen. That alone speaks volumes about the toxic work environment under her leadership. But here's where it gets worse. Jones isn't the only one. More former employees are coming forward, sharing their own horror stories of retaliation, abuse, and corruption. And it's not just employees suing, it's officials too. Robert Collins, Henyard's former chief of police, is taking legal action after she fired him without board approval. The lawsuits, stacking up fast. So, what's next for Tiffany Henyard? With court rulings, federal investigations, and a growing public revolt, her days in power are looking numbered. The courts have already slapped her down with restraining orders, blocking her power grabs, but that's just the beginning, because the FBI is still digging. And let's not forget public perception. It's turning on her fast. The people are fed up, the protests are getting bigger, and even Henyard's former supporters are jumping ship. One comment says it all. Why is this crook still free when an average person would already be in jail? The double standard is fueling the public outrage, and Henyard's response? Classic damage control. Her personal attorney is now claiming she's the victim of a smear campaign cooked up by a corrupt board of trustees. They're calling it a political hit job. But with this much evidence piling up, that excuse isn't convincing anyone. And her defiance? It's only making things worse. Even after being legally blocked from appointing her own police chief and administrator, she allegedly told them to show up for work anyway, blatantly ignoring the court order. At this point, she's acting like the rules don't apply to her. So, what's next? The next court showdown is set for October 23rd, and this time, the stakes are even higher. Will the court finally hold Henyard in contempt for ignoring its rulings? Will the FBI uncover enough dirt to bring serious charges? Or will she somehow manage to wiggle out of this mess yet again? One thing's for sure. This political train wreck is far from over. Meanwhile, the residents of Dalton and Thornton Township are left wondering, how much longer will they have to put up with this? They're tired of the scandals, the lawsuits, the constant chaos. They just want real leadership, someone who will actually fix the town's financial disaster instead of making it worse. But with Henyard clinging to power, it's hard to see that happening anytime soon. What do you think? Is Tiffany Henyard finally done? Or will she somehow survive this political firestorm? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep this conversation going.